House. Senator Kennedy.
Mr. Olsen, I believe I looked at your resume. You are an elder in the Reformed Presbyterian Church of North America. Is that correct?
I am an ordained elder in the RPCNA. I am not actively serving.
In August of 2015, you gave a sermon at the Second Reformed Presbyterian Church. Do you remember that?
2015, I think that might have been a Sunday school lecture, but I spoke, yes.
During that sermon, you said that marriage was not intended for all people, including, and I'm going to quote your words, our handicapped friends are our persons with physical disabilities that might prevent the robust marriage that we're called to, close quote. Did you say that?
I think I did, Senator, yes.
You believe that folks with handicaps and physical disabilities should not be able to marry?
No, Senator. I was explaining the meaning of Christ's words that some, to use Christ's terms, are eunuchs by birth, and explaining that the meaning of that verse in the context of those who are called to singleness, and that there are various reasons why individuals don't get married.
But what about folks who are handicapped or who have developmental disabilities?
I was using that example as an illustration of why some don't get married, not as a kind of reason why someone shouldn't. It was illustrative of the condition in which some find themselves, but certainly not in any stretch of the imagination suggesting that they couldn't or shouldn't, merely that in some cases they don't.
On July 24, 2022, you gave another sermon at the Columbia Reformed Presbyterian Church. Do you remember that?
The Columbus Reformed Presbyterian Church, yes.
You were speaking about sexuality, is that correct?
I gave two sermons at that church, and the main topic of both of those was not human sexuality.
In one of them you said, quote, transgenderism, homosexuality, fornication, and all sorts of sexual perversions was a form of hypocrisy from, quote, your words, shame on the inside. Did you say that?
I don't recall the precise wording, but that sounds
What did you
familiar.
mean by that?
Yeah, Senator, thanks for the opportunity to clarify that. So I was preaching a sermon on a passage in the Old Testament about an Old Testament King Uzziah who was stricken with leprosy.
I don't have a lot of time, Counselor. Tell me what you meant by that.
Sure, that many...
Do you believe that fornication is a form of sexual perversion?
Senator, my personal views, my religious views, what I was speaking at that time were for the edification of the people that I was preaching to. As a judge sitting here today, my obligation is to apply the rule of law.
Yeah, I understand that, but my obligation is to try to understand you, because this is a lifetime appointment. Do you believe that fornication, which I assume you mean by that the sex act, is a form of sexual perversion?
Senator, the doctrine of the church that I was at does state that fornication is a sin.
Well, what do you mean by fornication?
Any sexual act outside of the bounds of marriage.
Okay. So you believe premarital sex is a sexual perversion?
Senator, my personal views, as many have said before, I won't comment, but the doctrine of the church that I belong to.
Is it your doctrine?
I took, as an elder, I took a vow.
Is it your doctrine?
As an elder of the RPCA.
Is it your doctrine?
Senator, my personal views as a judge are not the object of what I would rule upon.
Give me one more minute, please, Mr. Chairman. On August the 23rd, 2015, you spoke in Sunday school, and you said, quote, "I'm not saying women can't have careers. That's not what I'm saying." No, strike that. I'm reading the wrong quote. I apologize. In your talks at your Sunday school, you said that God, quote, has called wives to be subject to their husband, end quote, and to, quote, serve the good of your husband and support his calling, close quote. Did you say that?
Again, I gave a couple Sunday school lectures around that time. I don't recall the particular one, but I think I recall saying something along those lines.
What did you mean by that?
So in Christian marriage, as explained by the apostles, I was describing our church's understanding of what Christian marriage ought to look like.
And you believe Christian marriage provides that women have to be subservient to their husbands?
Senator, I think I was quoting either a passage in Ephesians or those are not my words. Those are words in the scriptures.
Well, you said them. Do you believe them?
Senator, I believe every word of the Bible.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Olsen, can I just follow up on that, since he raised interesting questions, but let me just ask you, you're an ordained elder.
A tense confirmation hearing erupts as Senator Kennedy confronts Judicial Nominee Matthew Olsen over past sermons. The core issue: whether deeply held religious doctrine can coexist with impartial judicial duty. Kennedy's line of questioning aims to test not just Olsen's words, but his worldview. Kennedy zeroes in on a 2015 sermon suggesting some people with disabilities may not be suited for marriage. Olsen clarifies he was describing theological interpretations of singleness, not advocating legal exclusion. The exchange highlights a recurring confirmation tension: belief versus policy. The senator pivots to sexuality. Kennedy presses Olsen on remarks labeling certain behaviors sexual perversion. Olsen repeatedly distinguishes church doctrine from judicial responsibility. But Kennedy's strategy is clear: probe whether personal convictions could bias future rulings. Then comes gender rules. Kennedy cites Olsen's statement that wives should be subject to their husbands. Olsen attributes this to biblical teaching, affirming belief in Scripture while insisting his judicial oath requires neutrality. The clash exposes deeper questions about faith and public office. At stake isn't theology alone, it's judicial philosophy. Senators often test nominees on whether private moral frameworks could shape constitutional interpretation. Olsen's responses follow a classic confirmation script: personal belief acknowledged, legal duty emphasized. The broader pattern is familiar in modern hearings. Nominees with strong religious backgrounds face scrutiny over LGBTQ rights, gender equality, and marriage law. Kennedy's interrogation reflects a political reality. Courts increasingly arbitrate cultural conflicts, once confined to religious spheres. So here's the real question: can a judge truly separate lifelong religious convictions from constitutional judgment, or do beliefs inevitably shape the law? Share your view below and follow for more deep dive analysis of the hearings shaping America's courts.